There are 4 things that you can do to clear plaque from your arteries. We're going to go over each and every one. The first one is probably going to be considered the least important, and it may surprise you because many people think that this is number 1, but it isn't, because the plaque inside your arteries is actually more of a biochemical problem than it is a physical one. So we are going to use number 1 as a way to physically change our biochemistry. The first one, of course, is exercise. Exercise has a number of benefits. The most important is when you exercise, it produces many hormonal changes in our body that are beneficial to our health. In addition to that, it also stimulates our body to produce nitric oxide. This is a gas inside of our arteries that when it's produced will cause our arteries to dilate and relax and become more pliable. This, of course, lowers our blood pressure, and in the form of exercise, it gets the blood flow, the nutrients, and the oxygen to the muscles that you're using. The cool thing is with most forms of exercise, your body will produce this nitric oxide, but also produce enzymes that inhibit the destruction of the nitric oxide. So the results can last up to a day. So if you have blood pressure problems and you exercise on a daily basis, you will lower your blood pressure for about a day, very similar to the effects of blood pressure medication. Now you have to take those every day simply because they only work for a day as well. Kind of bummer, huh? But wouldn't it be great if there was like one pill you could take and never have to worry again? That'd be pretty cool, but it ain't gonna happen. So let's go to number 2. Number 2 is you need to lower your LDL, or more specifically, your ApoB. This is where the biochemistry formula comes in. Whether you had a choice of lowering your LDL or raising your HDL, of course, both would be nice, but it's more important, or at least the research has shown that it's more important, to lower your LDL. Now, there are many people that believe, no, that's not true. You should have as high LDL as possible. There are many influencers that will tell you this, that the LDL doesn't matter, that the higher the LDL, the better, and it makes no sense whatsoever, because if high LDLs were protective, then there will be no Americans that ever have any type of cardiovascular problems. If there's one thing that processed foods and fast food has done for us, is it has raised our LDL. So the argument that higher LDLs are okay, you could play the science game, but any type of research that you can find, there's always some research that will show the opposite. So you take your pick, but most of the research, it's kind of unfortunate. It's the LDLs. You lower the LDLs, the better off you're gonna be. Now, how the hell do you do that? Well, it's a biochemical problem. So you need to eat foods that will lower the LDL. What are those? It's very simple. You can Google this, find foods that are high in potassium, high in magnesium, and you'll find that a lot of foods are like that. Not fast foods, not processed foods, natural foods. Some have more than others. You can pick and choose, but ultimately, if you eat non-processed foods, you're halfway home. Also, you need to consume an adequate amount of protein, not an excessive amount of protein. You're not going to eat a 72-ounce piece of steak 3 times a day. That would be ridiculous. But you're not going to undereat protein. You're going to eat an adequate amount of protein, which is a general rule for most people. If you take half of your body weight and say, that's how many grams I'm going to eat, you're starting to get on the low side for your body. Depending on your activity levels, you may need more. Also, depending on the percentage of body fat that you have. So if you are 35% body fat, you're not going to take half of your weight. But a generally healthy person So figure out your healthy weight of what you should be, and then half that, that's the amount of grams that you should generally consume, because an excessive amount of protein will start to be hard on your kidneys, and it's your kidneys that play a role in your blood pressure. You also need fat, some fat, not an excessive amount of fat. You're not Dr. Boz eating a thing of butter. Don't eat butter for breakfast. You should be eating monounsaturated fats that come from like olives and olive oil and avocados, seeds and nuts, that type of thing. So the diet is very simple. Eat foods that are high in potassium, high in magnesium. You get an adequate amount of protein and get an adequate amount of fat, the good fat. And that way you're not excessively eating and you're not under eating. And that way it makes it very simple. There are supplements that can help with plaque in the arteries. We'll talk about that later. But for right now, you cannot supplement your way out of a bad diet. So don't even try. And I'm serious, don't try. It ain't worth it. Many people have tried, but they have failed. Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 is to lower your blood pressure. And this coincides with, if you exercise, that's great. Exercise plays a role in lowering blood pressure. You change your diet, that plays a role in lowering your blood pressure. But ultimately, you want to make sure that you are lowering your blood pressure as normal, to get it as normal for you and your age. There's big debates on whether everyone should be the same number, or as we get older, the numbers should be allowed to be a little higher, but you don't want super high blood pressure. When your blood pressure is too high, it damages the endothelial lining of our arteries, and that damage starts to create an atherosclerosis and a plaquing as a protective mechanism. So that's why you want your blood pressure to be within normal levels for your age, your gender, and your overall body health. The fourth and final thing you can do to help yourself remove plaque from your arteries is to lose adipose tissue, or fat. It's not so important that you lose weight. It's important that you lose fat. There's a big difference. So a person who is big boned, let's say, and very tall and has a lot of lean tissue may not necessarily need to lose weight, even if they're 220 pounds. If you're 220 pounds full of muscle, you're a stud, or you're one big, strong CrossFit woman. But if you are 35, 40% body fat, then you are actually a small person with a lot of fat on you. The reason why it's important to lose the fat is because that's extra work for your heart. And so your heart has to work extra hard to pump blood and nutrients and oxygen to the fat cells. You see, fat cells are actually alive. They're a new tissue that we accumulated in our body, but they don't just sit there and do nothing. They're metabolically active. So by reducing the size of our fat cells and reducing the amount of fat cells, if it's possible to do this, then it's less strain on your heart, and your heart doesn't have to work as hard. Your blood pressure goes down. And so this all goes in full circle, that if you exercise, you have a diet that's high in magnesium and potassium, you're taking maybe some supplements, and you are lowering your blood pressure, there's less strain on the heart, and then the inner lining does not develop that plaque. And for many people, they're able to reverse the amount of plaque in their body by doing these very things. So as they say in England, get on with it. Just follow the advice. Pretty easy stuff on paper, but in reality, it's a lot harder to do. So just go for it. Do you know how freaking hard it is to get 400 milligrams of magnesium per day? It's like
2.5 ounces of pumpkin seeds,
3 1/3 cups of black beans,
4 cups of edamame, which is about 5 of these bags, 5 ounces of almonds, 3 cups of spinach.
Men require 400 to 420 milligrams per day, and women require 310 to 320 milligrams per day.
Blood
bloody amazing.
So I take 2 of these bad boys every single night. It helps sleep, headaches, muscle pain, and blood pressure. The great thing about this company is they offer a 365-day money-back guarantee. And because you're such an awesome person for watching this video, you personally get a discount. Just hit the link down below in the description. Down there. Down there. You got it. There you go. See, I knew I loved you. You're the best. Bloody amazing. Bloody amazing. That's my English accent. Bloody amazing. Amazing de bloody. That's kind of my French accent. Amaziano. That's my Italian. Far out. Bloody amazing. That's my Spicoli. Southern California. That's how we all talk.